All right, let's jump right in. If you've ever tried to import anything from China, you know it can feel, well, overwhelming, especially when it comes to air freight. Today, we're going to cut through that chaos. We're diving into a detailed 2026 market report to help you figure out how to find the perfect logistics partner for your business.
I mean, this is it, right? This is the question everyone asks. Just tell me, who's the single best air freight forwarder in China? It's what every entrepreneur, every Amazon seller wants to know. And the report we're looking at today, they say it's the #1 question they get asked. But here's the thing, as you're about to see, the answer is, well, it's not that simple. And this is why it's so complicated. Look at that number. You're not choosing between a few companies. You are staring down a market with over 2,500 registered air freight forwarders. That is just a staggering number. And you can bet every single one of them claims they are the best in the business. So with that many players in the game, you can probably see why just typing best freight forwarder into Google, well, it's just not going to cut it. You'd be scrolling for days. What you really need is a smarter way to filter through all that noise, a way to figure out who actually delivers on what they promise.
Okay, so how do we even begin to sort through this mess? Well, the report we're using as our guide today comes from a logistics company called DDP Chain. Now, that's important to remember. They are a player in this space, but they've laid out a really useful framework for judging these companies, and they call it the 3 power factors.
And here they are, the big 3. First up, cost efficiency. Pretty straightforward, right? Who's going to give you a good price without hitting you with a bunch of surprise fees later? Next, customer support. You know, when things go wrong, and sometimes they do, who's actually going to answer the phone and help you fix it? And finally, operational power. This one's huge. Who has the actual muscle, the relationships with airlines to get your stuff on a plane, especially when everyone is trying to ship at the same time? You know, what the report makes really clear is that there's no single best forwarder for everyone. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. The right choice for you really depends on what your business actually needs. So let's dive into some of the specialist categories they pointed out.
Okay, this is where it gets super practical, especially for you e-commerce folks. The report breaks down a few companies that have really carved out a niche in this space. And you can see they each have their own thing, right? Seabay's all about digital tools for Alibaba and Amazon sellers. DDPH has this unique assisted purchase service. And Winsky Freight, they're targeting budget sellers with a pretty sweet deal on free warehousing.
Let's take a closer look at Seabay Logistics. I mean, check out this review. 15 years with the same company. That says a lot about reliability. According to the report, their sweet spot is helping Alibaba buyers and Amazon sellers, with a big focus on digital shipping tools and something called buyers consolidation, which can be a huge money saver.
Okay, now this service from GDPC is a total game changer for a lot of people. It's called assisted purchase. And basically, if you've ever had a headache trying to pay a Chinese supplier on a platform like 1688 or Taobao, this is your solution. They literally pay the supplier for you, on your behalf, and then they just handle the shipping. Problem solved.
All right, but it's not all sunshine and 5-star reviews. The report is also pretty blunt about the fact that some forwarders get really, well, mixed feedback. You know, the kind where some people have an amazing experience and others, not so much. Let's look at a couple of examples.
Sino Shipping is a perfect example of this. On one hand, the report says they get a ton of praise for their communication style, which a lot of Western and especially European importers really appreciate. But on the other hand, there's this recurring and pretty serious warning about hidden warehouse fees and final bills that are way higher than the original quote.
And I mean, listen to this language pulled from the report. People aren't just saying the bill was a little high. They're talking about padding fees and feeling like their cargo was being held hostage. That's intense. When you see words like that, it's definitely a major red flag about how transparent they are with their pricing. And here's another one, DFH Global Logistics. Again, it's this story of balancing the good with the bad. Their big selling point is that they handle the tricky stuff, you know, sensitive goods like batteries or liquids that most forwarders won't touch. That's awesome. But the flip side, according to the report, is a concerning pattern of lost shipments and customers having a really tough time getting things resolved when problems pop up. Okay, so now we get to the report's #1 pick. And well, in a move that probably won't surprise anyone, the report written by DDP Chain ranks DDP Chain as its top choice. So let's just put that out there. But let's also look at why they say they deserve that spot and what their whole all-in-one solution is all about.
Their whole pitch really boils down to this concept they call a total care philosophy.
The idea they're pushing is that they're not just a company that moves boxes from point A to point B. They claim to manage the entire process for you, from the moment it leaves the factory to the second it arrives at your door, a completely hands-off experience. And to back this claim up, the report lays out this timeline of positive reviews they've collected over the past decade. It's meant to show consistency, you know? Good feedback on communication way back in 2014, praise for being a true partner during the crazy supply chain crunch of 2020, and even recent reviews praising their service to places like Dubai.
Another big part of their argument for that #1 spot is just the sheer range of services they offer. You can see it's way more than just air freight. They're talking premium air, budget sea freight, rail, express couriers like DHL, and they even throw in sourcing and warehousing. It all goes back to that all-in-one, we-handle-everything idea.
Okay, so we've looked at the specialists, the ones with mixed reviews, and the report's own top pick. So where does that leave you? How do you actually take all this information and make the final call for your business?
Well, it really just comes down to this. What matters most to you? Seriously, are you just starting out and every single penny counts? Then yeah, cost is probably your #1 driver. Or maybe you're shipping something tricky, like those batteries we talked about, and you need a specialist. Or maybe you're just so busy that you're willing to pay a premium for a totally hands-off all-in-one service. The best choice really depends on what you prioritize.
And that brings us right back to where we started, but now the question is a little different. It's not who's the best forwarder anymore, it's who is the best partner for me. Now that you've seen the criteria and the different kinds of players, the focus is totally on finding the right fit for your specific business.
Because here's the big takeaway from all of this. You're not just looking for a company to move your boxes. You're looking for a partner. Think about it. This company becomes a critical extension of your own business. Their performance, their communication, it all has a direct impact on your bottom line and your reputation. So the best advice is simple. Take your time, ask the tough questions, and choose a partner you can truly count on.